and he's the one that's trying to get everyone else to accept Royal again, accept him back into their home and into their lives. And it's because of him that Royal gets back in the house, and even though Royal was lying, it's, because of Richie that he kind of gives him that second chance. It's, I would say, Richie's suicide attempt that kind of brings everyone together. Mm-hmm. Again, it kind of ends the Margot and Raleigh marriage, because that's where it kind of comes out that, as they saw with the private detective, but that's where Raleigh specifically, calls it out, saying, she's made a cuckold of him. She's, having an affair with Eli Cash, to the surprise of, to Ethelene and the rest of the family.
Because Margot's so...
she's so secretive.
Yeah, she's great at being, nobody knows anything about her. Really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's because of that, the work of the private detective and them learning all about her. And it's Richie's attempt that kind of brings him and Margot into that same conversation where they can admit to each other that they do love each other.
Yeah.
Even though, it's strange and it's weird and they're, quote-unquote brother-sister, even though they're really not. But it's, they're able to admit that. And it's Richie who even after that, goes and sees Royal again at the hotel. Royal now works as the elevator operator, and is able to kind of convince Royal to do the right thing. And that's where Royal starts making the amends with everyone. I mean, it's Richie that after he talks with Royal again, they go to see Eli and tries to convince him to get off drugs and to go into rehab. And there's that great scene where, they're at his apartment and they're talking to him, which, by the way, we have to mention the paintings on the wall in Eli's apartment. There's the guys on, the mini bikes
Yeah.
with the scary masks on. And then there's another one on the opposite wall where, some guys being accosted. It's like they're jumping them,
and they all have the masks on. Yeah,
yeah. They're fucking ridiculous. I remember watching that movie with Joel and just laughing because it's just those paintings are absurd.
And that there's two of them. There's one behind Eli, and then when you go and you see Richie, there's another one behind him.
Yeah.
So you're just what? And they're huge.
Yeah, they take up the entire wall. But anyways, he brings Royal to see, and Pagoda, to be technical. He brings them to see Eli to convince him to get off drugs and go into rehab. And that's a great little exchange where, Eli's saying, I always wanted to be a Tenenbaum. Because he was always trying to get in with that family. And then, Royal says, me too. Because Royal was kind of always on the outside because of his estrangement from his family. And he really wants to be part of that. And then Eli makes mention that, being a Tenenbaum doesn't mean what it used to, because they've all had that downfall. But they really want to help him and, kind of bring him into the fold a little bit too. And then Eli immediately, runs off and goes into the bathroom or something, and then Pagoda's like, oh yeah, there he goes. And you see him on the street hailing a cab and then running off. So, I say that it's definitely Hackman's movie, but but I think that Luke Wilson and the character of Richie is, the heart.
Also, we have that great bit with Mordecai.
Yeah.
That we haven't talked about yet. With this Falcon, right? Falcon?
It's a Falcon. Even though I think one of the wide shots of it flying, I think I read that's actually a hawk.
Well, I know they ran into some trouble with, I think, the first Mordecai that they shot with was actually captured by some pedestrian who was trying to blackmail them for money to get it back. So they ended up replacing that Falcon with another bird, which is why I think Luke Wilson later on, he says, when he comes back home and the hawk or the Falcon comes back, he's like, oh, I don't know if this is Mordecai at all, because it has more white, I think, in its feathers. Yeah, I think it's
got a slightly different look.
I think that's because they had to change the bird.
They did get the bird back, by the way. The bird was chipped.
Ah.
But, the reason they went with the second bird is because they didn't have the time.
Uh-huh.
To wait to try to get the bird back, so they went with the second bird. They eventually did get the first bird back, but yeah, they went with the second one because they didn't have time to fuck about with the would-be kidnapper. They just put the authorities on it, and then we got this movie to shoot. And part of the reason why they were so constrained on time is because it's an ensemble. It's hard to get all those people and their schedules to line up. Like, they only had Gwyneth Paltrow for, I think I read, less than 2 weeks.
Oh wow!
And Ben Stiller was kind of the same. They only had him for like 2 or 3 weeks. So they had to kind of rush. Not necessarily rush to shoot, but had to kind of shoot around everyone's schedule.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you want to talk about film-wise?
Going back to the Chaz character, they kind of show you how unhinged he is by his wife's death. He does crazy stuff like random fire alarm testing in the middle of the night for his kids and strange things like that. I thought that was kind of a nice touch to the film.
The fire alarm at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like when he wakes up the kids and he notices he's throwing like chairs down. And he's saying those are obstacles.
Yeah. And they leave Buckley, man, poor Buckley behind.
Yeah. I forget which kid, but one of the kids says, "Oh, we have to get Buckley." He's like, "No, leave him. We have no time." When they're out on the street at the very end of that fire drill,
he's like, what does he say? Like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. We're all dead. We're burnt to a crisp.
And they mention, they left Buckley behind. He's like, it doesn't matter. We're all dead anyways. And then they move back into the house, and there's a really funny scene where he's walking in with the bags and all the sleeping bags and the suitcases and everything. And he says, "Oh yeah, we got locked out of our apartment." Etheline's in the middle of the bridge club with everyone. There's like a big crowd at the house, and they see Chaz and Ari and Uzi walk in with all the bags. And he says, "Oh yeah, we got locked out of the house." And Ethel looks at him and says, "Wait, I'm confused. Like, did you get locked out of the house like before or after you packed the bags?" And he's like, "Oh, never mind. It's just not safe there." We talked a lot about the way that Anderson shoots, and I'd be remiss if we didn't mention like the gorgeous cinematography in the film by Robert Yeoman is the cinematographer, and I think I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, like with the exception of Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, like the 2 stop motion films, Yeoman has shot every single one of Anderson's movies. That's why they all have that same look.
Mm-hmm.
They're super consistent across all the movies, and the work that collaboration that they have really is amazing. And I want to shout them out because they look fantastic. They look every single one of those films look gorgeous with cinematography. And I think if I'm not mistaken, yes, he even shot The French Dispatch, which will come out later this year. So and believe it or not, I don't think he was ever mentioned or ever in any kind of awards contention until Grand Budapest Hotel, which, yeah, he didn't win, unfortunately, but he was nominated for the Grand Budapest Hotel for his cinematography.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of Grand Budapest Hotel, that's a movie that you and I saw together.
We did.
And I think that's been the only one, unfortunately. So, thanks for letting me shout out Yeoman and for all of his fantastic work. And in this movie especially, since this is the one that we're talking about, but in all of the Anderson films.
Yeah, of course. And I totally agree with you that there's just this incredible consistency through all of the years with the cinematography and meeting Wes Anderson's vision. It's incredible.
Yeah, and even changing formats, not formats, but like aspect ratios. Because the first, what was that, 5 Anderson movies? Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, Tenenbaums, Life Aquatic, and Darjeeling are all shot in Super 35, like widescreen, and with Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I think everything since he's shot in the flat ratio, in the 1.85 ratio. Grand Budapest Hotel, really, really cool, changes aspect ratios with, depending on what part of the story they're in. Like where sometimes it's widescreen, sometimes it's the Academy 1:3:3 frame, and then sometimes it's that flat 1.85 ratio. But that's really interesting. But throughout all those movies, not depending on the ratio, the aspect ratio that they've shot, but Yeoman and Anderson have had that great working relationship where the look of those movies are all pretty much the same, and not in a bad way. I mean, that's Anderson's look and appeal and his style. You get that consistency by having the same cinematographer with you all the way. So I'm glad that relationship has been very fruitful. And look at the amazing images that we've gotten out of that.
I think with the obviously with the stop motion, you can still his style still bleeds through. You know what director you're watching.
Oh yeah, for sure, and definitely in Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
Which I like Isle of Dogs. Don't get me wrong, but my opinion here, I think it's his weakest film.
Okay.
It's not nearly as good as Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Do you have a reasoning behind that?
No, it never really gave me the it didn't grab me as the other movies did, and it definitely didn't have any kind of the emotional hook that the other films had on me.
Did he?
I mean, even Fantastic Mr. Fox has like a pretty good emotional hook for me, and that's especially at the end when they see the wolf.
Yeah.
Like, I love that scene a lot. Like, that part really gets me. But Isle of Dogs never really had anything like that. And to be fair, I probably need to watch it again. I do own it. I do love it. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's his weakest film. It doesn't connect with me as much as all of Anderson's other pictures do.
I think of everything that I've seen of his, which I think I've seen everything, I'd probably agree with you where Isle of Dogs, there was just... and granted, I think I've only seen it once in the theater so far. Maybe I just need to revisit it again. But yeah, I think I could agree with that point.
Yeah, and again, like